we're back.
This is episode 3 of our history podcast.
Today we're going to be discussing the first ever Americans.
This is going to be our last project of the year, and we'll be talking about the Aztecs. More specifically, their spiritual religious costumes and marriage.
We couldn't do anything really fancy for this, but we'll try our best to make things entertaining.
That's right, and now let's start with my topic first, since Karen went first last time. I'll be talking about the way the Aztecs would get married.
It's actually quite a long and complicated process, but listen and stay tuned because it's pretty interesting too.
Alright, let's begin. We're starting with how the Aztecs married. Like Karen said, it's a very long and complicated series of events. Nowadays, we just plan the marriage like a few months before and just buy a bunch of stuff and then the marriage is set to go. For the Aztecs, they also prepared months before the ceremony, but that was not for the stuff in the actual wedding, just for the day of the wedding. The day of the wedding was important as they had to have perfect weather and good crops. Usually, the priest is the one who picks this special day. This day, however, is just the day of the official wedding ceremony. The actual ritual takes 5 days. Yes, 5 days. Let's be quick about this. Boys married around 20 to 22 years and girls around 15 to 18 years. The boys' teachers were presented with an axe, the one for cutting trees, and if the teacher accepted it, then the boy was officially cut from school, yes, intentional, and then he's free to marry. Before the day of the wedding, cacao chocolate, pipes for smoking, flowers, tamales, mild cactus beer sweetened with honey, and all things related to food were prepared. On the day of the wedding, the bride was bathed and dressed by her female friends and relatives, with red paint on her face and red feathers on her arms and legs. Then the strongest and oldest female relative carried the bride on her back to the groom's house for the wedding. The bride and groom sat together on a mat in front of the fire where incense burned. Then the following events occurred in the order I'm going to say them in. The bride and groom each received a gift of new clothes from the other's parents, then their clothes were tied together. The tied clothes were the symbol of marriage. 4 days of feasting comes after, and they were lectured all throughout that period of time. The bride, to trust your husband, take care of him, and obey him, and to the groom, to be hardworking, thoughtful of his bride, and to always put her and his family before himself. The groom can take other wives later on in his life, but this was the only time he could take a primary wife and celebrate with this ceremony. Meaning, if he married again, then this ceremony would not be repeated. On the 5th day, both bride and groom were bathed and dressed, bride in white feathers on her head and colorful feathers on her arms and legs. Both of them were blessed 4 times with water and 4 times with beer. The marriage was now final, and everyone celebrated and feasted together. And that would just conclude my talk. See, Karen, I didn't actually go that long this time.
Alright, okay. Well, now it's my turn. I'm doing costumes of the Aztecs, of course. So for these costumes, they needed bird feathers, and they got these from trade. And then these feathers were woven into headdresses and clothing in very beautiful and complex patterns. I tried to draw that. The Aztec warriors had extensive forms of armor to protect them in war, and the dresses of higher class warriors were more elaborate. For war, their bodies were mostly covered with cotton, and it was pretty sturdy and impenetrable, but it was still light enough so that their movement was not restrained. The wealthier chiefs wore gold or silver instead of the vests, and had huge coats of extravagant feathers over that. Their helmets were fashioned to look like heads of animals, and so were the shields. They were made of woven reeds with feathers lining the outside.
Before I go on, I want to point out the fact that I stayed up past midnight working on this. Past midnight. Appreciate my work. I apologize for interrupting. Let's continue.
The Aztecs believed that if they worshipped and used the figures of these animals in war and battle, they would be blessed with their powers. Additionally, accessories they would commonly wear along with their colorful outfits would include panaches of feathers, stones, precious metals, and collars, bracelets, earrings of the same material. The chief's banner would determine the color of the body paint on the warriors while in war.
Alright, that would conclude our last project this year. So sad. Okay, come on, there's nothing to cry about.
I couldn't be happier about this school that's ending.
Of course. Okay, bye. Cut the mics, Karen.
Oh, sorry!
Okay. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm
I
so
waste hours
silly
of
if
my
I
life
don't
as
like
a 12-year-old. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.